Well, let's start with the international break and your players. Do you have a clean bill of health from the players that have come back?
Yes, we do, which is always good and very welcome. Always a worrying time when players played, and most of them played. Not in all of the games, which we're quite grateful for, but they played, and yes, all back in good shape.
We've seen this week in the Premier League injuries to key players on international duty. I wonder, as a manager, you mentioned the worry, how much you kind of like tuned into watching your players in different parts of the country.
Well, you are. I mean, you because of the volume of games we have, you're spending a lot of your time looking ahead to the games that we play. But absolutely, you have an eye very much on whether they're playing or not. Their performance. And it's nice to know not only their result, whether they played or not, but how they played. So yeah, there's always an eye on that. It's a worrying time, and some managers, at this moment will be unlucky that they've had players injured on international duty. So it's always a worry, but we're okay.
You were thrown into your Forest managerial career with a lot of games. And now you've had this break. How useful has the break been with the players that you've had left behind to work with them?
Well, I think useful as regards working with the players that are still here, but also it's just to give everybody that recovery time that they need. Not only players but the staff as well, and it allows us to assess because the games come so thick and fast. Probably the hardest part about that is that what you always like to do is to prepare for a game, play the game, and then revisit it. And go through the areas of the game where you could have done better. But what you find yourself doing is very quickly having to move on to the next game. So you don't really give yourself as much time as what you would like, evaluating what you did well and what you didn't do well in the last game. So, but they come thick and fast, and it's the same for everybody, and you have to better cope with it.
You kind of touched on it there. So, is the international break? I guess some people might think, well, there'll be lots of players just practicing and training, but is in many ways is it a key time to rest, especially this season in all seasons because of the tight games coming one after the other?
Yeah, I know, very much so. I mean, so it would be very much that balance between getting some good training days in, doing some specific work that you would like to do, but very much bringing their loads down in some days, giving them some time off as well, because it won't be everybody. It's such a varied group. If I look at 7 games that I've been involved in, well, there would have been some that would have played in all of them 7 games. Some half of them. So I think it's that's down to us as coaches and sports science and the medical to try and get them balances right. Who needs the extra work? Who doesn't? And of course, knowing that you are going then into another, if anything, longer series of games.
You mentioned about the 7 games and about having a bit more time on a break to analyse. Now you look back, how do you feel those 7 games that have gone on reflection?
Probably exactly how I thought they would be, and some aspects I've been really pleased with. I suppose probably the disappointment we've had 3 draws and one of them games certainly we should have won, and that would have been them extra points. I think that would have put us in I think a better position, and losing the way we did at Middlesbrough. So yeah, I think I think mostly good having that assessment. I think what the players have endeavoured to give us is, I can't fault them, and what we're trying to implement in the team. And I suppose 1 loss in the 7 is a decent return, but possibly just that extra win. So overall quite happy, but certainly areas that we can improve on.
I read just before I came down that Joe Worrell is getting closer to fitness, a date around early December. I wonder how key that would be for you, a guy who's kind of embodied in this club. Is that someone that you see key to get fit?
Yes, and apart from the fact that he's been at this club a long time, he's a good player, and what we want is as many good players fit and available, for selection as possible. We've just spoke about the series of games that we're going to go through. Well, there isn't any team that are going to go through all of them games without picking up any injuries. So he's still probably a little bit away, as regards full fitness. I think thankfully for us and for Joe that I think he's a fit lad anyway, and particularly the injury that he had. It's not a muscle injury that you're mindful that can recur again. So we're hopeful that they'll be back in training, over the next couple of weeks. But then, of course, it's about, getting him up to speed and being available for games.
Excellent. Just two more. Barnsley on Saturday, of course. Just what do you expect from them?
I expect a very tough game. The things that we have learned this season, I think more than perhaps any other season, is that the unpredictability of this division, and it's very hard to call results. Where anybody can beat anybody, and they've been in good form. Barnsley, they're playing a way that I think suits the players that they've got. They're very effective in the way that they play, and the results that they've got mean that it's a very tough game, and we have to take it exactly the same as every other game.
And just finally, the EFL announcement this week on the substitute, kind of going back to what was the end of last season. Is that something you see as a benefit and a positive?
I do, yes, and it's one I've thought hard and long about, and possibly another time or another season. I might have thought a little bit different, but I think with the volume of games that we've got, and the fact that every team in this division will play, of course, some if they make progress in the cup competitions, then of course we'll play more games, but very much everybody will play a series of games where there's not that much respite through to the end of the season. So I think it's sensible. I think from a medical point of view and an injury point of view, I think it's very sensible. And what we have to do as coaches and managers is use the new system as well as possible.